Any surface, any distance. Hi there, Coach Sage of VO2 Max Productions here with another training talk. Today we're going to talk about kind of a concept that I've repeated over and over in previous training talks, and it's also a kind of a chapter in our Sage Running Secret, A Guide to Speed Ultras. That's a book plug. Ebook on sagerunning.com, chapter on variable running economy, which is one of the secrets I'll let you guys in on. And it's kind of the idea that in the big realm, the big spectrum of mountain ultra trail running, MUT running is what I call it, any surface, any distance basically, is that there's a huge variety of different races, from vertical kilometers, really steep stuff, to road ultras, track ultras, up to 100 miles or 24 hours even. And, you know, within that spectrum, people, I think, focus usually on the distance of the race. It's like, and granted, I haven't finished a 100-mile race, so maybe I'm talking out of my ass here, but they focus on the distance. Like, I'm training for a 50K, I'm training for 50 miles. Well, what I always focus on is it's not the distance of the race, it's the vertical profile of the course and the runnability, the terrain, whether it's technical trail, whether it's pavement, dirt, or track, or a mountain race. That determines your success and plays to your strengths and weaknesses, or exposes your weaknesses, way more than the actual distance of the race. And a lot of that's tied up in duration as well. So, you know, if you have a really mountainous 50K race, like the Speedgoat 50K or the Rut 50K, that might take you almost just as long as a really flat 50-mile trail race, like let's say the JFK 50-mile race or something like that, or a road run, or, you know, a more runnable 50-mile trail. And so it's not necessarily the distance that really determines you know, exactly what's going to happen to you in one of these MUT running races. And if we just look at the top end of the sport, if we look at like a guy like Kilian Jornet, incredible runner, he basically specializes in mountain races, really emphasizes the mountain, the M part of MUT running. But he does it from vertical kilometer races, which are less than 5K in length, maybe only a 30 or 40 minute vertical push, or something like Alaska's Mount Marathon. I'm not sure if that qualifies as a vertical K, but very short races, but very steep mountainous races, all the way to the Hard Rock 100 mile race, which is a big mountain race in St. Juan's. He also has branched out to doing some more of the traditional runnable American style ultras like Western States, I will say. But generally, there's a focus on sky running events and pure, real steep, gnarly, technical mountain races. And so, you know, that's one niche of MUT running. It's a very big part of MUT running. You know, mountains are very glamorous. But when you look at other aspects of, let's say, just races I've run, 50-mile trail races in the US, less technical events like, well, White River 50, Lake Sonoma, and the North Face 50-mile challenge in San Francisco. Now, those are all very similar types of courses to some extent, because they're all on smooth, runnable, single track, at least when it's not rainy. Then it gets really muddy. But it's not technical, it's rolling hills. Lake Sonoma is kind of more unique. But the general rule is it's a 50-mile trail race, runnable trails, smooth dirt, near sea level, with 10,000 feet of climbing. And that's kind of an American style ultra, so to speak, a very typical West Coast 50-mile trail race. California style trails is what I call them. It's overgeneralizing. And what we see with that at the top end of the sport, at least in my experience, is that the course records could all get very close to 6 hours flat in those events. Now, they're not quite there yet, but we're just scratching the surface of what's the potential, I think, of the human body. And I'm not saying I'm going to go out there and lower my times on any of those courses, although I will say the White River 50-mile course records are kind of weak still. But I think a runner will come along eventually and hit one out of the park and be able to run close to 6 hours flat on all three of those courses. A 50-mile trail race with 10,000 feet of climbing, But you know, those types of races for 50 miles are a lot different from, say, the JFK 50, which is going to have considerably less climbing, or a road ultra like the Comrades Ultra Marathon in South Africa, which this year is a down year on pavement, very painful, very fast and competitive as well. But it's just a different stress, and even though it's the same distance, the surface really matters. Your strengths and weaknesses as a mutt runner really matter, whether you like climbing, whether you like technical. And if we look at kind of the shorter end of the ultra spectrum with 50 mile or 50K races, at least in my limited experience, obviously the Speedgoat 50K, you know, 12,000 feet of climbing, high altitude, fairly steep. You could say it's similar to the Rut 50K here in the US, which is skyrunning. But at the same time, the Rut actually has less climbing. I think it's only about 10 or 11,000 feet. And it's a lot more technical in some of the middle parts of the ascent and descent, which means a lot more power hiking on the ups and a lot more scariness and technical, rugged mountain scree field running on the way down. Whereas at Speedgoat, I'd say for me personally, it plays more into my strengths because it's a more runnable uphill and more runnable downhills. You don't have to worry about breaking your bones quite as much. But if you look at the vertical profile, relatively similar. People who do well generally pretty well in both types of races. And you know, you could translate that to road ultras. You could translate that to even more flat courses, whether it's doing 100 miles on a track, 50 miles on a track, or on a more tame, smooth dirt, less hilly type of surface. So it's not the elevation, or it's not the distance of the race that matters so much. It's more the vertical profile, the amount of climbing, and the type of climbing, whether you're power hiking or you're able to run, or whether you're able to run on the downhills, or if it's really tricky technical descent that work your leg muscles in different ways, because that stress is going to really cost you a lot of energy, it's going to cost you a lot of time, and it's going to make you either really bonk, or it's going to lead to skeletal muscular fatigue or something like that. And so you have to train for the stresses of the race and looking at the vertical profile and getting used to the types of terrain, whether it's technical trail or smooth dirt or road or whatever, to be able to excel. And you know, some things you might have natural gifts at more than others. Definitely found that out too the hard way. But that's my rant today. It was a little longer than I thought. Just feel free to comment below with future training talk topics. Keep the comments coming, keep the votes coming. I really appreciate them all. Sorry I can't get back to most of them, but have to clear my throat here. I really do appreciate all the support and all your feedback, and subscribing on here, sharing this video if you like it. Be sure to follow on social media at Sage Canaday. Check out our coaching website, sagerunning.com. We got more announcements coming out, as well as the Facebook page, Sage Running, if you haven't liked that already. Yeah, but thanks so much for all the Patreon supporters. Couldn't do this without you. Really trying to step up my game still this year with videos and just doing more of these. So thank you so much, guys. Hope your training's going well, and stay tuned for more VO2 Max Productions.